Hi everybody, this is Machine and Miss Padmini with the admirable help of Mr. Stephen, and this is your teachable moment. So when we do multiplication, which we do all the time because we love multiplication, we can do it all kinds of different ways. We can think about, cookies and so many boxes with so many cookies in each box, and we can think about how many cookies we have all together. We can write stuff out in a multiplication table and look up stuff on the table. We can count by twos to know what is 2 times 4. We'll count 4 times, 2, 4, 6, 8, and get 8. We can also do it by building rectangles for our multiplication problem. So let's start out with a simple one. Let's multiply 2 times 4. So you write it as 2 times 4 equals, and we have many ways to find it, but this time we're going to find it by making a rectangle, a 2 by 4 rectangle. So when we write out rectangles, we read that X as by, a 2 by 4 rectangle. And the question would be, how many little pieces are there in a 2 by 4 rectangle? So let's make the rectangle and let's see how many pieces it takes. All right, that means you're going to have 2 rows, and each row will have 4 pieces. So let's make the first row. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the first row. The second row will have 4 pieces also. So you have 2 rows of 4 pieces each. And when you push those pieces all together, it'll make a rectangle. Let's make a rectangle, a 2 by 4 rectangle. How many pieces did it take to make the 2 by 4 rectangle? Let's count the first row and then we'll count the second row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 pieces. You can also count by 4s if you know how to count by 4s. So the first row is 4 and then 8 when you count by 4. So that 2 by 4 rectangle has 8 pieces. So you can write 2 times 4 equals 8. You can also, just as a little secret, you can also write it as 4 by 2, which we're not going to write it, but we're going to show you how it looks different on the rectangle. What if you have 4 rows of 2 pieces each? So the first row would have 2. First row has 2. The second row will have 2. The third row will have 2. And the fourth row will also have 2. And you could count the pieces and you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you know how to count by 2s, you can count 2, 4, 6, 8. So we know that 2 times 4 is 8, but also we know that 4 times 2 is equal to 8 also. So that's the 2 by 4 rectangle or the 4 by 2 rectangle. Now let's do another one. Let's do a rectangle that is a little bit bigger. Let's do a 3 by 6 rectangle. 3 times 6 is equal to however many pieces it takes to make a 3 by 6 rectangle. So let's make 3 rows and each row will have 6 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we'll make a second row of 6. That's the second row of 6. And we have one more row of 6 coming up. And 6. How many pieces did it take to make this 3 by 6 rectangle? Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 pieces. Now, you could, if you knew how to count by 6, you could just count by 6 and say 6, 12, 18. If you don't know how to count by 6, you could pull out your multiplication table and take a look. If you look at the row which has 6, which is down below, 6, let's go across this row, counting by 6, 6, 12, 18, and it goes on, 24, 30, 36. But if we want to go only 3 rows, the first row would be 6, then 12, second row, 18, third row, so it's the correct number of pieces, it's 18. Now, I could also look at this, and we're not going to turn it around, but you can imagine if this were a 6 by 3 rectangle, in which case you would look at the row for 3, going down on the row for 3, and go all the way to 6, from 3, 6, 9, 12, 16, 15, 18, and you would have the same answer. Let's count it on our squares. The first row gives us, the first column gives us 3, and 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. So we can just count them as columns, and it allows us to count by 3s. Did it give us the same answer? I think so. Look, there's the 18 for 3 by 6, and there's the 18, 6 by 3. So there you have it. You can, either way, you get the same answer. So let's write our answer down. 18. And then we're going to add to this rectangle. Let's add another 18 pieces. How many rows do you think would happen if we added 18 more pieces? So beginning with the 4th row, we're going to put 6 pieces in this row. Now, if you stop here for a moment, this is still a rectangle. This is a rectangle of what? It's 4 by 6. 4 by 6. Or 6 by 4. Let's add 6 more. Okay, now that's 5 rows. Now we're adding the 6th row. Now how would you write this? It's 6 by 6, a rectangle, or in this case, because they're the same sides, same number on each side, the 6 by 6 rectangle is a square. So that's all squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares. Only the rectangles that have the same number of rows and columns. Let's look at how many rows this one has. This has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows. How many columns? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it has same number of rows and columns in this rectangle. Therefore, this rectangle is a square. Let's write this down. This rectangle or square is 6 by 6, and the number of pieces it has is 6 times 6. 6 times 6 equals how many pieces? You could just look in your multiplication table. That would be okay. You can go to the row that starts with 6, and you can go to the column. It doesn't make a difference. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36. If you start on the row, it's 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36. And you can test it for yourself and count the pieces to see if it actually is 36 pieces. I can tell you it is. So we can write down 36. And let's do one more. Let's do one more that's maybe has different numbers, not a square. Let's do 4 times 8. Let's do 4 times 8. Now, if you don't take out that row, okay, that's fine. Let's take it out. We'll make a fresh one. We'll make a fresh one. How many pieces do you think it will take to make a 4 by 8 rectangle? We're going to have 4 rows with 8 in each row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's one row. We need 3 more rows. Second row coming. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And one last row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if you know how to count by eighths, you can count each row and do it 4 times and you would get the number. If you don't know how to count by eighths, you would count the actual pieces. Let's do that really quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32 pieces. If you knew how to count by eighths, you would say 8, 16, 24, 32. And if you didn't know how to count by eighths, but you know how to count by fours, you could count your columns. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, and 32. No matter which way you do it, guess what? It comes out the same. It's 32 pieces. Let's write down 32 pieces. Now let's check if our multiplication table had it right. If you can look at the eighths row column, you have 8, 16, 24, 32. You can look at the fours row and go 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32. Good job, multiplication table. The multiplication table had it right. And good job, all of you. Excellent work. This is Miss Shing and Miss Padmini with the admirable help of Mr. Stephen. And that was your teachable moment.